Retro Ghetto.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the Retro Ghetto and what is by far my biggest ever pickups video. Now we're going to get straight into it because there's over 30 games to get into and actually this ain't going to work. Because we have got to get comfy for this one. So, as I said, there's a lot of games to get into. First things first, if you haven't seen Wednesday video, I'll link it below. Probably go and check that out first. But basically, I went to look at an entire Super Nintendo set. I made a list of the games that I wanted. And I was able to get them all. Thanks to my friends Connor and James that were there straight away first thing in the morning at Old School Gaming. And yeah, I wasn't expecting to get every game on the list, but I'm delighted with that. I haven't really had time to process it. I only took ownership of these yesterday. I've barely looked through them. But as you can see from the smile on my face, it's mad. It's very surreal. This is by far the biggest pickups, not only that I've ever done, probably that I will ever do. I mean, this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity. It's not every day you get access to a full Super Nintendo set when you are trying to achieve a full set yourself. So I definitely took advantage of it. There's, apart from one game, every single game in here is uncommon or rare. The vast majority are rare. And there's one game that we'll get to last, which I don't really know what to say. I'll be as surprised as you are that I've got it. Anyway, we'll get to that last. I still don't know how I'm going to articulate that one, but I've got plenty of time before we get there. So, let's jump straight into it, as I say, and we're going to start with the one game which isn't uncommon or rare. And that is Madden 94. So I bought this one on last week's vlog. If you saw that, from Super Retro Games in Sheffield. It was in real bad condition. And I picked this one up as well. This should be okay once I get that big sticker off it. But starting with this unexciting game does mean that we can do a giveaway. So my battered copy is still a Super Nintendo game. It's still complete. If anybody wants it, let me know in the comment section below. Just put NFL Ghetto, and I'll give that away on Sunday's vlog. But yeah, that's just basically a condition upgrade. But now, with that one game out of the way, we're getting to everything that's uncommon. I'm going to start with the less exciting stuff. But yeah, for me personally, there's not a lot in here that isn't exciting. So the first one in here is ESPN Baseball Tonight. Not a big baseball guy. And I'm going to say right now, I'm going to make a conscious effort throughout this video to not say, I've never seen it before. Because I've never seen any of these before. And that's why I bought them, right? I could have bought 2, maybe 3 games. There's a hell of a lot of money's worth here. But I tried to do it the right way. I tried to just get uncommon stuff that I've never seen before, but get as much as I could, as well as getting the things that... Anyway, let's just get into it. There's too much, right, for me to be sitting here telling you about the process and the strategy. Let me just show you what I ended up with. So this is an interesting one. This is Super Pinball Behind the Mask. Often you see this in a yellow box, like the GG European version. I think this is Dutch. But you'll see throughout the video, a lot of these will be different European regions of PAL, and that's why I've never seen them before, because a lot of them never got UK releases. So this was a 1994 Kaze developed pinball game, as you might have thought, and it's just sort of classic early pinball machines. But yeah, just interesting, because the only pictures I've ever seen of this, it's a yellow box, so quite interesting that it's in the maroon one. If there's European viewers watching, I'm sure you guys can give a lot more information on some of these than I have myself. Next one here is Full Throttle All American Racing, and as you can see, the condition on a lot of these is absolutely stunning. This one's a Gremlin Interactive developed racer, and it's basically motorbikes and water scooters across different American locations. Interestingly, it recently had an Evercade release as part of like a compilation cart that they put out. So yeah, Full Throttle. And yeah, whilst, as I say, these first few are sports titles, some of these are really interesting. This one, I didn't even know existed, never mind not seen it before. And that is Soccer Shootout. And it was a strange one to me because I didn't know it existed, but it was a Capcom release. Just doesn't seem like a Capcom release. And the reason being is I think this was bigger in Japan. So this was called J-League Excite Stage 94. Catchy title. In Japan. And it wasn't even a series. This was a one-off football game. There's not many football games that only got one and done. So yeah, this was just one of them ones that was a much bigger game in Japan. and I'm guessing got a very limited release here in Europe. So yeah, that's Soccer Shootout. This one is actually in English, but some of the language on it would imply that it's also Dutch-French. So yeah, another one that I would not be surprised if it never saw a UK release. This next one's interesting as well because F1 World Championship. Now there's a few F1 games on the Super Nintendo, the majority of which are very common and very cheap. This is an interesting one. I've heard mixed reports about this one. Some people say this is a valuable game, but I think it's the Mega Drive one. There's a Mega Drive F1 game in a yellow box which might be expensive, and I think there might be some confusion there because I've seen listings for this very high and I've seen listings for this quite low. It's one of them that there does seem to be a bit murmurings as to whether it's an expensive or rare game, but this was very reasonably priced by Rich at just £35. So yeah, F1 and a nice yellow box. You'll see a lot of colourful boxes in here. If you know, right, my full SNES pursuit, I'm going for every game, but the way in which I've displayed them, I've done it sort of colour coordinated. So anything nice and bright and colourful, it always sort of piques my interest. And these next two, whilst they're both sports games, are very interesting titles. So the first one is Eric Cantona's Football Challenge. Now, again, you'll know that I'm not a Man United fan, right? I've purposely made a lot of jokes at the expense of Man United Championship Soccer. I've often said that'll be the last game I buy to complete my set. But I've got to give credit to the king, King Eric, right? I am a fan of Cantona. But again, this is one of them other interesting ones that had different releases. So this is the French version of Striker. So Striker's a very common soccer game. I feel like slapping myself. It's a very common football game that you find everywhere in the UK for like £5, £10. So this is just a different skin of it that was sold to French markets. Now, I don't know if this is technically part of the set. So I'm working towards 532 games, I believe. I don't know if that includes variants of different football games. I really don't know. But if somebody had asked me, do I include them in the set? I don't know. But when you own them, you definitely do, right? So for me, this is definitely part of the PAL set. So yeah, Eric Cantona Football Challenge. And this one is the same. So this is a similar thing, which I actually already knew about. And this is the last of the sports titles, right? So we're done with sports titles after this one. So this one is Lothar Matthäus Super Soccer. And as you might expect, this was a German release, but interestingly, this is the German version of Manchester United Championship Soccer. So, theoretically, I could get away with not buying Manchester United Super Soccer. I make all the jokes about that game. I could potentially own this and not have to buy it. I think the completionist in me and the collector in me will want them all eventually. But yeah, just another interesting one. Like I say, just a different version, different variant. Lothar Matthäus Soccer. German release, and I love learning about this stuff. I've learned more about Super Nintendo in the last week than I have in probably the last couple of years, throwing games around the floor. Just seeing all these new games and being like, I didn't know that existed, and then sort of researching into it. And for me, that's part of the love of doing a full set journey. You just learn so much. Right, so that's the boring sports stuff out the way. Now we're going to get to actually there is one more sports game. We'll get to that shortly actually. So this one, Shanghai Dragon's Eye. So this is just one of them sort of I think this is like a tile game. It's very popular in Asia. Not one I know much about. I'm not going to pretend, but it's got like Mahjong on here and other things like that. Yeah, it is what it is. Again, I'm really trying not to say just one you never see, but it's one you never see. Okay, this next one. Now we're getting to the interesting stuff, right? This next one, I didn't know existed until I made that list. So, ahead of going to see the full set last week, I made a list of all the games I still needed. I put asterisks next to the ones I was interested in, and I underlined the ones that I definitively wanted. Give it to me no matter what, right? And this was one that popped up that I didn't even know existed. And I thought, oh, that's interesting, because I didn't know it was a trilogy, and I already owned the first two. And then I saw the box art, and I was like, yeah, I need that in my life. Anyway, that game is Top Gear 3000. So as I say, this is now the trilogy complete. So I've got Top Gear 2, and Top Gear 3000. This one is very similar to Top Gear 2, but it's set in the future, the year 3000. And it's got more extensive upgrades, and for the first time in the series, it includes weapons, but it wasn't only the bright red, beautiful box that pulled me in. But look at that. There's an alien with a hot dog. I mean... yeah, I mean, this was when box art was proper. Bring back proper box art. Easy for me to say. Like, this has been hand painted. It's just beautiful. And again, bright red, right? You already know I've got a thing for red. And these are the sort of games. There's so many games in here that if I'd have gone out on a game hunt and come back with one of these games, I'd be delighted. And I'm struggling to articulate how it feels to have bought back 32 games that I'm delighted about. But anyway, we can't sort of dwell on any of them because we just want to move on. I spoke to a couple of people about this and they said we should probably do it over 2 videos, but I'm not really a 2 video kind of guy. I just want to give you guys everything in one. Let's just get into it, right? This next one is another subset completed, and this is Pac-Man 2. The New Adventures. So there's Miss Pac-Man, and there's a different Pac-Man game. You'll be seeing an overlay of it now in a green box. I think there's 3 Pac-Man games on the Super Nintendo. And this is just one that didn't get much of a UK release. Now, looking at the back of the box, this also includes the original Pac-Man. It's got screenshots for what is a platform game, as you might expect, Pac-Man 2 New Adventures. But there's also screenshots for OG Pac-Man, so that's interesting because Pac-Man never got a SNES release. Miss Pac-Man did, so if that is on here, very interesting. And yeah, like I say, nice one to find. And then we get to what I think is the last sports title, but I've put it down here a little bit further down the list because this was actually the last addition to my want list. So as I say, I collated a nice list of games that I wanted from looking at the set, and I went home. And the life of a collector, right? Never happy. I was just thinking about this game. This game would not leave my mind. I kept thinking, why have I not put this game on the list? Someone's going to buy it. I'm never going to see it again. And the reason being is often on the channel when I've spoke about the trials and tribulations of going for a full Super Nintendo set, one of the games I often reference is a German volleyball game. Because I often say it's not just about those expensive Mega Man X3s and all that kind of stuff. It's also the hard to find stuff, the random German volleyball games that you don't want to pay £200 for. And here it is, right? The random German volleyball game, Hyper V-Ball. I think it's in Dutch and German again. But yeah, this one did actually interesting get a Japanese and NTSC release. So this came out in all 3 areas. It's actually Switzerland, this one. Official distributor for Switzerland, it says on the back. I love things like that. For me, it makes it like more interesting. And by the way, there will be a further video. There will be another part. Just what I'm going to do is get the ones in here that need cleaning up, any stickers removed, and just like rearrange the whole Super Nintendo wall. Like, this is the biggest like injection of games we're ever going to get. So yeah, I think it's going to be really fun to clean these all up, take a deeper look at the condition and stuff, and get them all added to the wall. So yeah, keep a lookout for that if you're interested in my full SNES set journey. But yeah, like I say, one that I often reference on the channel, so I had to have it. It just... yeah, it's one of them ones that would have haunted me had I got towards the end of the set and I didn't pick it up there, because where else am I going to find Hyper V-Ball? Right, we're not even halfway yet. Quick sip of Yorkshire. Let's keep it moving. So, I keep saying we're getting to the good stuff, but we are now at the good stuff. And next one we have got SOS, Sink or Swim. So this one isn't to be confused with the Japanese game of a similar name. That's like a very sort of like realistic, like disaster game, whereas this is much more of a light-hearted puzzle platformer. It's one of them sort of strategic, addictive gameplay apparently, and I think it was originally an MS-DOS game, which you might be able to tell looking at the art style. But you basically have to rescue panicking people before they sink, that I assume. So yeah, you have to like solve various puzzles to help people flee a scene, and it's, think like Lemmings or something like that, but yeah, with a different skin on it. And yeah, nice blue box art. SOS, Sink or Swim. Okay, so this is the first of the games which I underlined. So as I've already referenced, when I was making the list of games I wanted, the ones I really wanted, I underlined. I'm old school. People laughed at me for handwriting a list. I'm old school, man. That's how we do it. But this game is towards a subset that is my biggest target for both Mega Drive and Super Nintendo, actually. And that game is Phalanx. This one was originally a 1991 release for the Sharp X6 8000, which is a console I'm not going to lie, I've never even heard of. But it got a SNES release in 1992, and it's a Schmup best known for its ridiculously random NTSC box art. that box art of that old man playing a banjo is sort of like taking a life of its own. It's become very meme-worthy. Thankfully, the PAL version is a bit better. It actually looks like a shmup as opposed to, yeah, an old man playing a banjo, I guess. But I've had a quick look at this one online. The gameplay looks fantastic. I love most 16-bit shmups, to be honest, and I think this leaves us just one shmup away from the full SNES subset, which, who knows, maybe we'll get to a little bit later on. Again, this one's in German. I don't know if it got a UK release, and I just want to say now, I don't care. So, a lot of these games that are in German box art or other European areas, the Dutch, etc., they actually play with English text, and for the most part, like a shmup, it doesn't matter anyway. And I don't know which one's actually got a UK release or not, so it's one of them where I'm not too concerned. As long as it's PAL and it's playable, I really don't mind. And especially, like I say, there'll be a lot of these that didn't ever get a UK PAL release. I've just not had time to research, to really dig into it and delve and find examples of English box art. So who knows, right? But I know that it's one more shmup off the list that I'm delighted with. So this next one is one I've been looking for quite a while. I bought it on the Mega Drive, it must be 2 or 3 years ago now. And I said then I'd rather have it on the Super Nintendo, of course. And that is Donald in Maui Mallard. So this is quite an interesting platformer. So it's interesting playing Donald Duck, who is then himself playing a character. It just seems like a random game to have got a release across both 16-bit powerhouse systems. But yeah, I'm kind of in this strange dilemma now that there's still Super Nintendo games sat at Old Skool Gaming that I need for my collection. There's a hell of a lot of money here. You can't just keep going and spending money on this stuff. But I don't know whether I should start thinning out Mega Drive doubles. I don't know. There's part of me that thinks, well, I should just take all the Mega Drive games that I already own on Super Nintendo, trade them in, and then get more Super Nintendo goodness for my full set. But I also love the Mega Drive. This is the parody of being a collector, right? I don't like selling any of this stuff that I love. But it's definitely something I'm toying with the idea of, because yeah, there's still some SNES goodness sat there. And yeah, I'm sure I'll be adding more at some point. But again, why am I talking about adding more? I mean, the life of a collector. But anyway, yeah, Donald in Maui Mallard. So, let's keep it moving. Next up, we have Tough Enough Fighting Spirit. This one's known as Dead Dance in Japan. It's a Jaleco 1993 released fighter set in a post-apocalyptic Earth in the year AD 2151. Now, what is very interesting about this is the Japanese box art for this came from the UK magazine, the magazine of my choice growing up, CVG. Because when CVG went to write an article or cover the game, it was so early on that there was no sort of like promotional art at all. So they created art for it. The developers and creators of the game loved it so much that they took that art from CVG magazine and used it on the front of the Japanese box art, which is fascinating, I think, and really random story that I wasn't aware of until I was researching. But yeah, Fighting Spirit, I love my fighters, and yeah, there we go, another one. Right, okay, so I did say, if you saw a Wednesday video, how much I love the Marvel games. There's just something about them. There's so many Marvel games I wish I'd bought home from Old Skool Gaming. Some of them are just very expensive. So this one was like very reasonably priced. And again, look at that box art. But that is Captain America and the Avengers. So this one's a Data East 1993 release of what was originally a 1991 arcade release. It plays as the traditional beat-em-up. Red Skull has assembled an army of supervillains in a plot to, unsurprisingly, take over the world. You can choose from Captain America, Iron Man, Hawkeye or Vision to stop him. And yeah, just another interesting one. It's crazy how many Marvel games there are on the Super Nintendo. There's loads. I already own quite a few. And there's still a few more that I need. But again, just talking about box art, right? Absolutely stunning. So yeah, that is Captain America. And I think we're just over halfway, but we're getting to the good stuff, right? We're going to double good now. Right, first one. Lucky Luke. This one's an Infogrames developed action platformer, and it got a late release. I think this was like a 1997 release on the Super Nintendo. Which would explain its rarity. You just basically have to catch a gang of outlaws, and from what I can work out, this is based on a Belgian comic from like 1946. I didn't see a direct link between that and the game, but when I was looking for Lucky Luke, there is a comic from that era which looks very similar, so I can only assume it is based on that. And yeah, you know guys how much I love an early 90s platformer. This one fits the bill, and I think it's a good time for me to say as well that every game here is complete. They've all got their manual. I'll do my best to show you guys, but as I said, there's a lot to get through here. But yeah, every single one of these games is complete, and for the most part in good condition. He says, I'm about to show you the game that is probably in the worst condition, almost. There's a couple of games coming up that are in terrible condition, but they were price reflective. So this one is an expensive game, Family Dog, random game, right? But the reason it says on here £80 is because of that. So this is in very bad condition. But again, for me, it's always about value of the game offset against the price it costs. So for me to pick this one up for what did Rich have on it, 80 quid, that's not bad at all for a complete copy of this game. So this is a very, very interesting one. Another one that was based on a short-lived cartoon series. So the game was released in 1993, but it was based on a TV series. So the TV series was destined to be a 13-episode series, but it was cancelled after just 10 episodes. So the fact it got a video game at all is crazy. They must have sort of developed this and expected it to be a success. And interestingly, the series was produced by Steven Spielberg and Tim Burton. So yeah, talk about like royalty within the directing space to what was a random 90s cartoon about a family dog, which was cancelled. And yeah, that was put into a video game, and there it is. So what I would say at this point is, you guys know I'm not a condition guy. I'm not a mint collector. You can't be. I mean, I can't anyway. If you want to go for a full Super Nintendo set, the sort of word on the street is that a full Super Nintendo set, roughly, if you ask most people, is a value of about £50,000. Now that can be extrapolated up to £100,000 quite easily if everything was mint or sealed or in fantastic condition. So obviously we're talking about big numbers here anyway. But like all collectors, when you're done, you're not done. When I finish this set, I won't actually be finished. I'll then sort of look at the ones that are in really bad condition and probably start to slowly upgrade them, add the few manuals that I'm missing, etc, etc. So at the moment, I'm just getting my way through the list. I'm ticking them off the list. I want the full set done. And then over time, I plan to slowly upgrade some of the more battered ones, shall we say. Right, okay. Next is, man. So I didn't realise there's 4 of these PAL Super Nintendo. These have been very, very high on my want list for a long time. They never got a UK release, but the box art, the colour. Anyway, first one. Dragon Ball Z. This one is La Legend Cyan. So this one is a 1994 released fighter, and like I say, this was just the most affordable of the 4. And it's nice, it's blue. Yeah, I don't really know much more to say about it. I think these were French. Definitely never got a UK release. I don't believe there's any of these with English text on them at all for whatever reason. Maybe Dragon Ball wasn't popular here at that time. I'm not sure. But I mean, you can see why I've been after it for so long, right? Just unbelievably beautiful artwork. And all 4 of the games are different colours. They're all vibrant. We might get to another one in a moment. But yeah, these have been so high on my want list. And this is what I was talking about. Like, if I'd have gone to a game fair, a market, a random shop the other side of the country and come back with just this, I will be absolutely delighted. And it's hard to sort of like articulate or process how it feels to have so many of them in one go. I feel like, yeah, Kid at Christmas doesn't do it justice. But yeah, that is Dragon Ball La Legend Cyan. Right, this next one is the other one I was referring to when I was talking about terrible condition. This was, if you watch Wednesday's video, not a box of games out the way. And that's because they were sort of like in bad condition or needed inner trays or whatever. And I was like, yeah, but I can't pass the opportunity up to buy this one. And that is Super BC Kid. So this one was released stateside as Super Bonk. Called it Super BC Kid here, probably because bonk means something very different here in the UK, especially at that time. Seems to be a word that died out, right? Bring back bonk. Bring back bonking. But yeah, this one's a 1994 platformer. It's the 4th game in the Bonk series. And it's a series more synonymous with SNK, right? But yeah, this one looks really good. So you've got to travel through time, through various prehistoric levels, from prehistoric to modern Chinatown, and you even end up on the moon in this one. What's different about this one, though, as opposed to some of the other Bonk games, is that you can transform your character into different creatures, so you can become crabs and dinosaurs and all manner of other things. But this is actually one that's quite high on my games to play list. There's a lot of games in here that I want to play. But yeah, this one just looks great. But I'll just show you now. This is in terrible condition. This has, yeah, it looks like a child's got hold of this. It looks like there's crayon on it. But again, this is the beauty now, because when we get to that episode of putting all these away, we're going to try and clean up these more damaged ones, iron them out, make them look good, and get them on the shelf. So yeah, the price would have been reflective of its condition, and that is Super BC Kid, aka Super Bonk. Right, okay, next up, and we have got The Flintstones, The Treasure of Sierra Madrock. This one's a side-scrolling platformer by Taito. There's actually another Flintstones game that I needed for the Super Nintendo, based on the movie. God, that movie brings back bad memories, man. I remember as a kid going to see that at the cinema, and yeah, I hated it, hated every minute of it. But anyway, I think of the two games, this definitely looks like the better one. Again, this isn't in English looking at the box, so potentially German looking at it. But I don't think, even if the game plays in German, I'm going to be too concerned. I don't think I'm going to get lost in the story. But yeah, of the Flintstones games, this definitely looks like the one to own. And yeah, another one ticked off the list. Right, okay, so now we're getting to... So we've done good. I think we're getting to triple good. Triple good. Talking to triple bogey. If we were playing golf. Another one I've got on the Mega Drive that I've been wanting for the longest time on the Super Nintendo. It's bright green. You probably know what it is. Booger Man. A point and flick adventure. So this is another one of the games that I'd underlined. I've been hunting this for such a long time. This actually came out a year later on the Super Nintendo as it did on the Mega Drive. So this one came out in 1995. And that might explain why it's more common on the Mega Drive. Even though it's not particularly common on the Mega Drive, to be honest. And this is all things 90s, right? It is farting, bogeys, toilet humour, all that stuff, right? That, yeah, as a kid you would have absolutely loved. Booger Man, a point and flick adventure. But look how green it is. Look at that box art, man. This moves me. It really does. And like I say, I cannot wait to get this on the Super Nintendo wall. Yeah, again, another game that I've been actively hunting for the longest time. And I almost feel like I can't do these games justice, or this video will be about 3 hours long. But we keep going, we keep moving on. Right, next here, we have another fantastic game. World Heroes. This one was originally a 1992 arcade release for the Neo Geo MVS Arcade, a series more synonymous with the Neo Geo. I've actually recently picked up the World Heroes compilation on the PlayStation 2. They play quite slow, like comparative to like Street Fighter, which at the time was obviously all the rage, so there was a lot of one-on-one fighters coming out in and around that time. But as the series progressed, it did get better and better, and there's some really, really good games in the World Series franchise. But yeah, this is the OG World Heroes. I don't think this got a UK release. I'm just going to say it again. I think looking at the back of this one, it's in German. But yeah, another great title. But we ain't got time to admire it. Let's keep it moving. Next one, I mentioned this on the video. So a lot of these I purposely didn't highlight on the Wednesday video just gone, because I kind of wanted or hoped I would get them and then we could discuss them now. But this one I did mention because it just a strange release for Atlas. It's just not what you associate with Atlas. But that is Super Widget. So this is the sequel to the NES release, Widget I believe it was called, and you travel through various planets with his sidekick Mega Brain. The only PAL one of this I could find on eBay was £800, and there's a sold one for over £500, and this was listed for £135. So yeah, it's not like in amazing condition, obviously with so much Super Nintendo, but this is definitely good enough for me. So just so you all get an idea, I wouldn't be looking to upgrade this. This is fine. A bit of corner damage, I'm okay with that. It's patina, right? These games are like 30, 35 years old. But this is one of them games that, because I thought it was an £800, £500 game, and that's how much it would cost me. This is one of them games that when I first started collecting Super Nintendo, I didn't think I'd ever own. This was one of the titles that in my mind I thought, well, I'm never going to get a full set. And then when I started thinking I'm going to go for the full set, this was one of the titles that I thought, oh, one day I'm going to have to go for Super Widget, best part of £1,000. And yeah, somehow, some way, this one's £135. I'm not questioning it. I'm just going to take it. Yeah, but that's the strange thing. When I had my friends James and Connor over here, because they came round when they dropped these games off, I had them in the games room. We'll get to a bit more of that later on. Like I was saying to them, it's almost like what high-end clothing stores do. It's like, you know, you go to somewhere like a Flannels in the UK, you walk in and you look at clothes, it's like £800, £1,000, you're like, whoa, it's ridiculous. But then by the time you get to the end of the shop, you look at a t-shirt for £200, you think, oh, that's cheap. Because you see so many things that are like £800 that you see something at £200, you think, oh. And that's me now, sitting here telling you how cheap £135 game is, because such is the craziness of the Super Nintendo market. I'm delighted that I spent £135 on Super Widget. Life of a collector. I'm not condoning it. I'm not in any way, shape or form encouraging you guys to do it. It's the best hobby in the world. But yeah, if you just want to play these games, there's definitely better ways to do it. And I certainly wouldn't encourage anyone to start Super Nintendo collecting in 2025. And speaking of games that I thought were unobtainable, here's another one. Again, £135. Again, in my mind, a much more expensive game. Or at least I thought it would be. Anyway, that is Wolfenstein 3D. So this one was originally a 92 release on DOS. It got ported to Super Nintendo in 1994, and it's the third installment within the Wolfenstein series. Basically, it's Doom with Nazis, right? I think, famously, the end boss on this is like Mech Hitler. I'm sure it is from memory. But yeah, just one of them games that I'd always thought was very, very expensive. And the thing which always stands out to me about this game is that I don't care what anybody says. And I know that the film didn't exist at the time, but that is Ben Stiller from Zoolander on the front. Look at it. The pout, the face, everything. Yeah. And again, I'm struggling to take it in. I'm struggling to comprehend some of the games that I now own, because these are just games that I thought would be like Grails so far in the future. The one-day games, right? One day I'll have to get to these, and to be adding so many, like, there's still a fair few to go. It's just madness, isn't it? Madness. Right. Okay, so I showed you Dragon Ball Z La Legend Cyan. How's about a bit of Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Menace? Yes, so I did buy 2 of the 4 Dragon Ball games. The 2 cheaper ones, I might add, because I know that one of them that he had there on the day was like mint, and the price reflected it, rightly so, and I just wasn't in the market to spend £400 on a Dragon Ball game, but I would love to have all of them in my collection one day. So, I think, unless I'm mistaken, these games are French, so the titles I've given you are the French titles, but I think they're actually called Super Butoden, maybe that's the Japanese name. I'm not an expert, and my knowledge is from a little bit of research. That one's Super Butoden 2, and this one's Super Butoden 3. But oh my gosh, look at them! Have you ever seen better box art in your life? It's bright green, it's bright blue, it's Dragon Ball Z. I don't know what to say. Right? What can I say? I think it's probably already the best pickups video ever, and we've still got the 5 heavier hitters to go. Right, next. This is a game which has probably been, I'm not going to say my number 1 target, because we're going to get to that in a minute. Realistic target. My number 2 target for sure. I've been hunting this for so long, can't find a copy of it. I found a copy once upon a time in, where was I? Sawthorne in York. I picked it up, I was so happy, and I was gutted it was a repro box. But yeah, that is An American Tale, Fievel Goes West. This one is, of course, based on the animated movie. I've got real vivid memories of a kid of going to watch this in the cinema. I must have been about 5, I think, looking at the year it was released. But yeah, I can remember watching this film in the cinema. So yeah, there's a lot of nostalgia attached to it. And, you know, it's a side-scrolling platformer. It's everything that I love, right, from the early 90s. Nothing to me is more 90s than a movie adaptation of an animated film that I went to watch as a kid in the 90s on the sort of genre of game that I grew up playing. I had to have this in my collection, coupled with the fact it's got a nice bright orange box. And I think that's like, yeah, I mean, just, I don't really know what to say about it. Like, Hudson Soft, box art, everything I love about this hobby, this is in this box right here. Right, okay, so we've done triple good. We've got 4 to go, and good don't do it justice anymore. We've now reached a different level. I don't know what to call it. But the next 3 are a category of their own, and then the last one is, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to begin with that one. But anyway, another game which was unobtainable. There's a reason why this one was cheap. I say cheap, 200 quid. But the reason why it was that price, we'll get to that in a minute. But that is Soul Blazer. So this, for me, completes the Quintet Trilogy. So the Quintet Trilogy is Illusion of Time, or Gaia, depending on where you are in the world, Terranigma, and Soul Blazer. I really enjoyed my playthrough of Illusion of Time. I stopped playing Terranigma for some reason. I think something else came out. I got distracted, but I was enjoying it whilst I was playing it. And yeah, just a very famous Quintet Trilogy, and delighted to now have all 3 of them. So this one was a 1992 release in Japan and USA, but it took like 2 years later to come out. PAL, it came out in 1994. You play as the Master's servant, and you have to destroy monsters and release the captured souls of a world's inhabitants. Yeah, just an RPG that I really want to play, but we're going to get into why it was cheaper, because there's one sold that I could find. One PAL complete sold on eBay was £700. So the reason this one is £195, as it says there, is NOE. So the text on it is German. I knew that. I just didn't know whether it would play in English or German, so I had to find out. Right, so I tested it out to see if it plays in English. It does not. Unless... unless Dick Whackin's part of the game. Yeah, not for me. So yes, this one does in fact play in German. There's no like options or anything to change it, and this is one of them games where you need the text. This is an RPG, so you're going to need to be able to keep abreast of the story and to know what you're doing. So do I want to now go out and spend £700-800 on like a UK version? No, not really. But I do want to play it. So I think what I'm going to do is try and get a cart only. I'm going to keep this cart so that I've got the complete NOE version. I'll just stash it away somewhere, and I'll put a PAL cart in it so that, you know, I can play it with English text, but, you know, it's still PAL, it's still complete. And these are the things you're going to have to do if you want to go for a full Super Nintendo set. I don't care. It's in beautiful condition as well. Do I want to spend an extra £500 to have it with English text on the back? No, not at all. I'm more than happy with this. Like I say, this is one of them games that I didn't think would be on my list to get anytime soon. So I'm very happy to have a German copy of it. Like I say, we're going to pick up a PAL cart at some point and get this played, because I want to finish Terranigma and play this. I want to play the full Quintet journey. And yeah, just very, very happy with that. This next 2. Right, so there's 3 left. Right, let's get into these. So this one is a game that I've seen at game fairs in like a hard case in really nice condition for like £600, £800, and for me it's more about the nostalgia of the series and the box art that I just really wanted it, but it was always silly money. This was £200, but it's mint. And when I say mint, like, I don't use the M word. I'm not a mint collector. I don't feel the need to use that word. I'm not overly fussed. But this is mint. And that is Puzzle Bobble Bust a Move. Yeah, you'll be seeing now a bit of overlay. I don't even like taking it out of the box because it is unbelievable in terms of condition. But the game itself is a 1995 PAL release. It's internationally known as Buster Move, which is what this sort of genre of game would later go on to be known as. And it plays like Buster Move. It doesn't play like a traditional bubble game that I know and love and I grew up playing. But it does, of course, feature the characters from the original 1986 arcade game. I mean, it's just a box art. Look at it. Like, if you're going to have a game that's mint, have this one. Just, yeah. Absolutely phenomenal. I do enjoy the Buster Move series as well, so I don't know if anyone out there is as old as me and they remember when Sky Digital first came out and you used to have Beehive Bedlam on your Sky Digital. I spent a whole 6 weeks holidays, I'm not even joking. I spent a whole summer holiday at my friend's house playing Beehive Bedlam. We couldn't believe there was games on your TV. But yeah, what can I say? It's pink, it's beautiful. It's uncommon. This one again looks like it's in German. I'm probably doing a disservice. There's probably Europeans screaming at the TV now. It's not in German. I think it's in German. I don't know if it got a UK release. It's another one of them. And interestingly, I was speaking to a guy not too long ago who was telling me he knows somebody that's got a full Super Nintendo set. And this was the last game he needed to complete his set. So that would suggest it's somewhat uncommon at least, if not rare. So yeah. Right, there's 2 to go. This next one is my #1 target on the Super Nintendo. This is the game that I've been after for the longest time. Definitely didn't get a UK release. Of all the games I underlined on my want list, I think I underlined this one 3 times. It completes my subset. I'm so happy to have it. And that is Darius Twin. So this one's a Taito horizontal scrolling shmup. It came out in PAL territories in 1993 and similar to arcade Darius titles, Twin was a bit different in terms of its power-up system. With most shmups, what happens is you die, you got hit, you lose your life, you come back, you got no power-ups. Thankfully, with this one, you get to keep your power-ups, which I always enjoy in games because I love shmups, but I always say I'm not very good at them. So with this one, when you die, you do keep all the power-ups that you got up until that point. It also can play 2-player, but it has no continues, just to offset the difficulty. Complex said this was the 56th best Super Nintendo game of all time. Man, you know how much I love a shmup. This is probably the hardest one to get of all the shmups on the PAL Super Nintendo set, and I think that's the whole set. If I have time, I'll try and overlay it now, what I believe to be the full PAL shmup set. So yeah, for me, this is a big milestone. I definitely never got a UK release. This one is, I believe, in Spanish. Looking at it. But a beautiful, beautiful game from a fantastic series. And this was supposed to be the last game I showed you. This was my #1 target. The box art is unreal. And yeah, that was the 31 games that I had on my list. Again, massive shout out to Connor and James for being able to grab them for me first thing in the morning, first in the queue. And what can I say, right? I think, in my opinion, probably the best pickups video that's ever been on YouTube, right? I've never seen an influx like this. Like I say, this was a once in a lifetime opportunity. Me and Rich were saying on the day, he only knows of like 4, maybe 5 people that have ever owned a full SNES set. So the fact that one became available and you could just go and pick the games you wanted from it, yeah, I couldn't be happier. I got every game that I wanted within realistic. Obviously, I want them all, but you know. Anyway, so let's move this now. Right, I don't really know what to say about this next one. I haven't articulated my thoughts or processed them enough to really do it justice. So I wasn't going to include this in the video, but I just thought it's part of this journey, part of this experience, and just talk from the heart rather than sort of like putting too much thought into it and making it its own video down the line. So anyway, I've touched upon the fact that James and Connor came over and it was great. And they came, and myself and Mrs. RG and Mini G were chilling out in the kitchen, drinking tea, having a good time. And they bought some flowers for Mrs. RG as a wedding gift. So if you don't know, I'm getting married next month. Big milestone for me. We're getting married on mine and Mrs. RG's 10th anniversary. I've done that on purpose so I can remember. I've only got one date to remember, and I can remember 10 years either side, right? So we're getting married on our 10th anniversary. Very much looking forward to it now. Most of it's been organised. It's been stressful. If I wasn't already bold, I think I would be as a result of planning a wedding. But anyway, so they bought her some flowers and they gave me a bag with some gifts in it. And it was hilarious. It was brilliant. Now, all of this is on film. James caught some of it, but I'm not going to show much of it. It was a personal thing, right? It was an intimate setting with my family in the kitchen in the main house. And so they gave me a card with a horse on it. And there was this in there that obviously picked up from a charity shop. So there's a bit of an in-joke on the Ghetto Gang Discord that I'm the horse guy. I don't know why. I bought one horse game on the Xbox 360. Now I'm the horse guy, right? So yeah, I've got a horse, which I will have to find pride of place for in here somewhere. Brilliant, thanks lads. And not only that, there was also some DVDs which shall not be named. And they're not in here. You've seen some overlay. I refused to bring them in this room. And it was great. It was funny. There was a card. Mrs. RG had some beautiful flowers. I was the butt of the joke. That was how it should be. It was brilliant. And we're all laughing and joking. I'm making tea. And then they pulled out another bag. And I just assumed it was going to be another joke gift at this point, right? I've had like 2 or 3 jokes. It was far from a joke. I didn't know what to say. I got a bit emotional on the camera. I told him to cut the camera. But yeah, there was a card. So a beautiful card. So basically, what the fantastic people over on the Ghetto Gang, the Discord, had done is they'd organised a bit of a whip round, basically. So I'm not going to go into it. I've already thanked everybody over there, right? But a lot of them got together, made a contribution towards my wedding gift, and alongside this, there was a game in the bag. And yeah, I still don't know what to say, so I'm just going to show you what it is. Castlevania Vampire's Kiss. So it's also known as Dracula X stateside, and it was released in Europe in February 1996. And this Konami-developed action platformer is the second Castlevania game released on the Super Nintendo after, of course, Castlevania 4. It's actually a remake of Rondo of Blood, which was previously released in Japan on the PC Engine back in 1993. And whilst the plot and graphical style is similar to that game, it also features new levels and a slightly altered gameplay. So it's not a direct sort of like remake of it, it's just sort of like an altered version. And I think a lot of that is due to the SNES cart limitations, and also there was some exclusivity agreements that they had with PC Engine. But unlike Rondo of Blood, this game featured 3 different endings, so it's kind of like give and take. I think the vast majority of the consensus is that the game's better on PC Engine, but there are pros and cons to having the Super Nintendo version. So interestingly, this got very average reviews at the time, and I think because, like I say, a lot of people thought it was inferior to the PC Engine version, although I think over time people have realised that it's a great game in its own right, and I think it's just one of them games that over time people have learned to love more so than at release. I think one of the other things is that the difficulty. So I think a lot of people preferred Castlevania 4. I maybe controversially prefer the music. I don't know about the music. The music's fantastic on both, but I prefer the art style on this one as opposed to Castlevania 4. This one's slightly more cartoony. I think it's a bit more colourful, a bit more bright. Now, probably a lot of people don't like that in a Castlevania game. They probably want something more macabre because it fits that setting. But I actually prefer the art style on Vampire's Kiss as opposed to Castlevania 4. But, like I say, this is NES hard. The boss fight on this with Dracula is famously, ridiculously impossible. Like, nobody beats this game, from my understanding, right? The boss fight is supposed to be ridiculous. So it's one of them, it's hard to probably have that as much love for a game that you can't finish, or you get frustrated trying to finish. But, yeah. It just takes me back to... Well, we'll get to how I feel about it in a minute, but I mentioned on the footage, whilst I was there last week looking at it, that this is probably one of the hardest games to get because there's so many copies of it, so many fake ones, and you have to really know what you're looking for. It's often too pink, and one of the best times to get it, or the best time probably in the history of time to get it, is when you're buying it with a full set where everything's legit, you know it's all legit. I think there was one game of the whole set that was a repro box, and obviously the seller was very upfront about it, so you know there's no qualms about this one. This is a fully legitimate game, and for those of you that don't know, I think Rich had this for like £1,100, and people were saying that was a good price. This is probably, I don't know, £1,500 game. It's by far the most expensive game I own, but in terms of value to me, like priceless. If heaven forbid something should happen tomorrow and you have to sell your games, family comes first, whatever, of course, I won't be selling this one. This is just on sentiment alone. My favourite thing, my favourite game in my entire collection. The fact that all those fantastic people are already supporting, I think, like I say, I don't need to go into it too much. I've already thanked them over on the Discord as a collective and individually. But I think what I said was, I don't feel like I deserve it, but I am appreciative of it. I think that's the best way I can sort of surmise it. Like, if I'd have known they were doing it, I'd have told them not to do it. But equally, I'm hugely, massively grateful, massively thankful. And it means a lot. But like I say, I haven't really had the time to sort of like process this. It's crazy, 32 SNES games. So I was kind of like, when I got this and they brought it round, like, I was looking at it and my brain wouldn't take it all in. And then to add this on top, I don't know, it was overwhelming. And it was quite surreal because, you know, I don't know if, the best way I can sort of like relate it is, you know, as a child when you're opening Christmas presents, or maybe you've got a bit older than child, you're getting on a bit, and you're opening presents in front of people and people are watching you and you don't know how to react. Because I'm not a sort of like jump up and down, cry sort of person. But like, you don't know how to react, do you know what I mean? But you see like people are watching you, waiting for a reaction. I felt a bit like that, like I didn't know what to do. I was sort of like just in awe of a game that was, what do you call it? A unicorn? A white whale? I don't even know if that's a saying. But yeah, again, massive thank you to everybody involved. Very, very humbling. Don't deserve it. Massively appreciate it. But yeah, let me know if you've ever seen a better pickups than this. Because I'm genuinely blown away, right? I might not have been the most articulate on this video. I've only had these games a day, and this is the first time I'm properly going through them. So you can see, like, even now, I'm sort of like, it's going to take a while, this one. It's going to take a while. This stuff means a lot. There might be people watching that they're not collectors, or they haven't been on a journey, which, for me, this is the antithesis of my journey. My sort of 10-year collecting journey all started with Super Nintendo. This is where it all started for me. This is my love. This is the passion. And I don't think I'll ever top this. But yeah, we're massively closer now to that full set. What, 32 games closer? I don't know, I need to do a recount. I don't know how many I need. It's somewhere between 120 and 170, somewhere around there. We're going to say about 150. Still a way to go, but I think we're definitely realistic. It's realistic. I think we can knuckle down and get this done now. Yeah, I don't really know what to say. I don't know how to end this video. Thank you for watching. Sure, it's been a long one. You heard me sort of like babbling on, but I just love this stuff, man. I love this. This is why I do what I do, right? So yeah, let me know in the comment section what you think of this pickups video. And just thank you very much for watching. Thank you for coming on what's been a crazy journey with me. But the journey's not over yet, right? We're gonna get there soon. But yeah, keep it locked as well, because we're gonna get all these cleaned up, put away, tidied up, and make the SNES all look better than ever. But guys, thanks for watching. Play your games, keep it retro. Take care. Oh man, you know it's a long video when you've got to stretch my back halfway through. Wow.
Lock into the retro ghetto. Come and have a look around the ghetto. We got Sonic and Staples settle. Lock into the retro ghetto.
I don't know what else to say. You filming me?
Yeah.
I'll say thank you then. If anybody sees this, thank you.
Well, I just thought you could chuck it on your next vlog.
Mate, cut the camera, man.